From a semi-truck in Louisiana that got itself stuck on the tracks, and a runaway tram that smashed into several cars before finally stopping, to a brave Texas officer who saved a woman from getting hit by a train, and much more. Here are 7 unbelievable train moments caught on camera. Sabinal, Texas is a small city in Uvalde County. It's home to about 2,600 people living 61 miles west of San Antonio. They have a tiny police department with only a handful of officers. Thankfully, one of them was driving by the train tracks on Christmas Eve of 2023. Officer Crystal Chacon noticed a car stuck on the tracks at the intersection of North Hondo and North Front Street. It looked like the driver was asleep behind the wheel. She adjusted her squad car to get the light on the vehicle. Then she went to investigate. In the driver's seat was 42-year-old Ashley Sawyers. She wasn't asleep, but she was intoxicated and disoriented, according to Officer Chacon. Talking to her wasn't easy. Trying to explain that she was about to get hit by a train was even harder. Officer Chacon tried calling the Union Pacific Railroad, but they couldn't stop the train. Without time to think, Officer Chacon ripped open the door and dragged Ashley to safety. They hid behind a utility box as the train obliterated the car. During the crash, something flew off and hit Officer Chacon's knee. She wound up in the hospital and had to use a leg brace and crutches for the next few weeks. As for Ashley, she was charged with a Class C liquor violation. However, she claims she was suffering from an epileptic seizure that night. It caused her to pass out and become disoriented. Whatever the case, she's lucky Officer Chacon was there. As they say, not all heroes wear capes. In Russia, there are different ways to cross the railroad tracks depending on how you're traveling. If you're on foot, you'd take one of the narrow footbridges. If you're in a car, you'd take one of the normal road crossings. It shouldn't be that hard, but not everybody is always on the same page. It was April of 2012. From what we can gather, a Moscow man just wanted to get across the tracks. Unfortunately, he tried crossing the pedestrian bridge, which wasn't wide enough for his car. You can probably guess what happened next. Things are pretty much going downhill from the start. Our driver approaches the crossing and starts going while the light is red. He even forces a man off the bridge. Any other driver would have seen him and thought, maybe I'm not supposed to cross here. Instead, he backs up, aligns his tires, and goes on the green signal. His left tire gets stuck while his right remains on the bridge. In trying to correct himself, he winds up getting both tires hooked on the tracks. His front-wheel drive loses all traction. Moments later, his passenger gets out and tries lifting the car like Superman. Luckily, 3 others walk by and rush over to help. But despite their combined strength, the car won't budge. That's when they see the train and decide it's a lost cause. Defeated, everyone moves away and awaits the inevitable. Our driver watches as the speeding train deletes his car. Unfortunately, the video ends there, but it's fair to assume his car was a total loss. Maybe next time, he'll use the right bridge. It's amazing how some people don't look both ways while crossing railroad tracks. Just taking a split second to make sure can mean the difference between a good day and a bad day. The Russians on this bus in February of 2010 were having a very bad day. The road may have been covered in snow, but that doesn't excuse the actions of this boneheaded bus driver. The worst part is you can clearly see the signal, and the car stopped on the other side. Still, our driver decided to cross at the worst possible moment. The train clips his rear, sending the bus into a tailspin. Aftermath footage from the scene shows how bad the damage was. It's unclear where in Russia this crash took place. We're guessing it's somewhere with lots of snow and poor railway safety practices. Trams make everyone's life easier in the busy city. That said, they still have to coexist with cars. We're not sure where this next clip took place. Wherever it is, they don't have a very good system for trams and intersections. It was April 9th of 2012. A driver was heading toward a large, free-form intersection when something incredible happened. Let's just say he's lucky he looked right in time. Without warning, a speeding tram enters from the right and smashes the cars ahead of our driver. People rush over to inspect the scene. Based on their reactions, we're thinking the tram hit a few more cars off camera. As the story goes, the driver was having some engine problems. The tram wasn't starting, and passengers were getting angry. The driver accidentally electrocuted himself while inspecting the engine. The tram started moving on its own, and it didn't stop until it hit several more cars. Thankfully, everyone in the cars was okay. They're lucky the tram hit their trunks. Czerwionka-Leszczyny is a small commuter town in southern Poland. It's home to 27,000 people who rely on trains to get to and from the surrounding cities. These trains run on tight schedules, so when someone gets their truck stuck on the tracks, it can literally derail the entire operation. It was the summer of 2017. A semi-truck driver found himself stuck on the tracks in Czerwionka. The lights began flashing, indicating the train was on its way. Things were going to end badly if this guy didn't move his truck. It's unclear what our driver is stuck on. It looks like he tried turning right, but wasn't confident he could make it. That's when the crossing arm comes down, and the clock starts ticking. The driver backs up, thinking they're better off going left around the other arm. In hindsight, he should have pulled ahead into the bushes and waited for the train to pass. To his credit, he almost makes it. Almost. The train clips his truck and sends it flying. Hopefully, the man in the overalls dove away in time. Every day, there's a new story about a truck getting stuck on the train tracks. Take this driver from Louisiana. He tried crossing the tracks in North Caddo Parish when he got his cab stuck in the mud. Unfortunately, his trailer was still in harm's way. The train smashed through, sending about 240,000 empty tin cans flying everywhere. Based on this image and Google Maps, it's hard to tell how the driver got stuck. He was issued a ticket for failure to maintain a lane. It sounds like he wasn't paying attention and veered into the ditch. Henry Gray was not born to drive trains. In the early 2000s, he was involved in 5 light rail accidents in the San Francisco area. Yet, somehow, he never lost his job. They could have avoided a major crash in July of 2009 if they had just fired the guy. Henry was driving the L train that day. All he had to do was slow down as he approached the boarding platform. Apparently, that was too much to ask. Onlookers couldn't believe their eyes as Henry's train entered the station. He smashed into the back of a waiting K train, causing 48 people to suffer various injuries. 4, including Henry, were in worse shape than others. Thankfully, none of the injuries were life-threatening, and everyone made a full recovery. Still, it begs the question, how did this even happen? Henry inexplicably switched into manual mode as he neared the station. Then, he suffered a freak blackout caused by a condition called aortic stenosis. It's when your heart valves narrow, limiting blood flow. When Henry's brain didn't get enough blood, he simply passed out. It's unclear what happened to Henry after this crash. While nobody should lose their job over a medical condition, we can't have people blacking out while driving trains. The pantograph is a special device mounted atop electric trams and trains. It remains in contact with the overhead cables, thus giving the train the power it needs to move. When it gets damaged, it can lead to serious setbacks. This clip from Europe explains why. Now, it's unclear what the pantograph struck. Whatever it was, it obviously wasn't supposed to be over the tracks. The damage creates a chain reaction as wires and other assets become dislodged. They keep hitting the pantograph, chipping away at it piece by piece. You can see sparks flying as the train continues. The pantograph is still working, but it won't be for long. Eventually, it explodes and falls to pieces. The wires shake out of control as the train loses all power and starts slowing down. It's unclear where this accident took place. Hopefully, they've updated their trains since this video was taken. We're no pantograph experts, but this one appears to be pretty old. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.